Legend tales of a place where the booze flows freely and the stories are always entertaining. If you are bold enough to seek out such a place, head 13 miles down the Tuscan Highway to a tiny blues joint known as the Townsmith Tavern. Once there, enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and Bowl.
Excuse me, you can't say that. You're gonna lose your family-friendly rating. You're gonna corrupt the kids.
BS! A podcast that invites you to grab a cold beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. And here are your hosts, Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that asks the tough questions. Like, damn it, Kidder, when are you going to get off your ass and bring the Murderbird's reign of terror to an end? How many songbirds have to die before you act? How much blood is to be spilt before you care? And is that a Kia? I'm your host, the voice of the people, Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend who has yet to stop the Murderbird, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how you doing tonight?
Jaco, I'm here. And to answer your question with a question, did you get all of that from The Sims or perhaps Sim City? Because that sounds a lot like a headline that you would see in either of those games. Or perhaps a question to you, the mayor of those towns. When will action be taken? What will happen? This sounds like a bunch of, well, never mind. I thought I solved that mystery already, and we'll have to go back about 12 episodes to when you were finding random presents left in your vicinity. So, I don't know. Sounds like global warming to me.
I bring it up, Kidder, because there was another one. There was another victim of the Murderbird on my sidewalk this week. And if Google would let me share the image, I would share the image. So future Howard now has more work. He's going to have to share the carnage. So
all he has to do is put it full screen. It's fine. It's fine. Right here. Just put it full screen. It's fine.
Yeah. So, it's still not solved, Kidder. I'm getting a little annoyed by this. I'm waiting for you to finally do something about it.
Well, I'm waiting for higher pay and a better vehicle to do stakeouts in, and much more. In fact, I need additional surveillance equipment. So then I can be in the neighborhood. I will track down the problem. I will find the culprit, or the streets will just run red with the blood of the Forsaken. That's also possible. But how are you doing?
Kidder, I have managed to survive this week. It's not been a great week. I ended up Tuesday suffering from food poisoning. So
great.
Yeah, that was fun. Led to a 3-day headache, which was not fun. And then today, Friday, I wake up at 2 a.m. The headache's gone, so that's a plus. But starting to have some heartburn, decide, go get some Tums. Guess what? I'm out of Tums. So I try to go back to sleep, prop myself up, all of that. Still doesn't go away. So I decide, gonna get myself a glass of milk. So I go and grab myself a glass of milk at 4:45 this morning, pour that glass, take a big old swig of it. Kidder, that milk was expired.
Oh.
I drank a big old swallow of expired milk.
Oh,
I have yet to get that taste out of my mouth. That's my Friday.
Understandable.
Yeah.
That sounds just wonderful. I detail mine, but you don't need to know. That's fine.
Well,
Now you're just one step closer to being a Wisconsin resident, having those cheese curds forming in your stomach.
Yeah, that's going to make the What's on Tap segment a little interesting because it has made my stomach a bit woozy. So this could be fun. But Kidder, before we dive into What's on Tap, which I know everybody is waiting for, a couple episodes ago, we started a second race. And we once again put the gentleman from Indiana, this time up against Lane, who has become more and more a part of this show. And we're going to see who would end up on the show first. And, Kidder, just like the last time, it didn't take very long, and we have a winner.
It's true. And I have to say that the winner may be a shock, and the loser, more and more unreliable, absolutely unbelievable. And I'll get to that reason in about 30 seconds after we introduce who the winner is tonight.
Yep.
So who is it? Who is it, Howard? Who you got on the line? Who is it? Who's banging on the Triple B door?
Well, he's only the third person we've ever invited on the show. He has stood us up for 39 consecutive episodes. He is the gentleman from Indiana, Big D. He's here. Say hello and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm here. And you know what? I didn't realize it was 39 episodes, so maybe I'll just log off right now. I'll come back next week and make it even 40. Nah, I'm here.
Yeah. You join the chat room. It's over now. It's not, no matter how much you get destroyed, even if you leave the chat right now, like just obliterated, leave. Oh, you were still on this episode. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So, again, you, Big D, win this bet of who would be on the show first, you or Lane. Of course, you lost miserably the first bet between whether you or Farva would be on the show first. Farva beat you out by, I don't know, like 15 weeks. So, I mean, it was no contest. It was just absolutely.
I was going to say, probably beat me by about a year and a half by my estimation.
It's getting there, yeah. But Lane, this guy, he promised us beer last week. I ain't got no beer. He promised us beer this week. I ain't got no beer. What the hell, man? Come on. I mean, he's even letting Howard down because he's like, I'm going to bring it for both you guys. Again, I feel like John Travolta back in Pulp Fiction. Right? It's just like,
or that little old lady from the Wendy's commercial.
Where's the beef? Where's the beer? Come on, huh?
Yeah. Should be good. So he's
little
Howard's
lady,
got something
not
on
your
his
best
mind.
impression.
Well, I wasn't really trying. Okay, if you want me to try,
Hey, Sonny. Have you seen where the beef is? I'm also looking for a 6-pack of delicious beer. Have you seen some of that? I hear there's this nice little young whippersnapper named Lane around here who knows a good selection of beer. I'd like to hear his recommendation, but if he's not here, then I guess I'll just have to leave.
Big D is wondering why he agreed to be on this show.
Actually, I'm wondering if you recorded an episode before this one and also had a What's on Tap and it's still in Kidder's system.
Oh, I drank earlier. No, don't get me wrong. I had to drink to get rid of the week. And I started Wednesday. But no, this is pretty much it. So yeah, you haven't missed much for 39 weeks. And I'd say that you know that because you watch the episodes, but we can't even say that because you haven't seen those either. Why are you on this show? You don't know what happens here.
Because I saw enough to where the parts that I did watch, I feel like I should have had a helmet or a cup on. I'm not quite sure because y'all were just brutal to me. So I'm like, I got to fix this.
both, and neither would help. So, as Howard was saying, before we get into who the hell are you, who the hell do you think you are, and why the hell are you on our show, let's get to the all-important part of this show, the crowd favorite, What's on Tap. So, as our guest, I'm throwing this one at you, Big D. What do you have on the tap this evening to share with a couple good brothers?
All right, so actually, I got something that is it's a favorite of yours, Kidder. You're gonna appreciate this, but let me just reach behind my computer here and see how many cherries I need to get into my old fashioned here.
You son of a bitch! I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna remove every cherry from that house.
I'm not hard to find. You probably know right where I live. Yeah, but
I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but so in a non-trolly way, I say I got a couple of options here. They're both IPAs. I'd prefer IPAs. Y'all aren't the biggest fan, but again, not trying to troll here. But so y'all might be able to help me decide. So I got
the garbage for both.
So I got the from Sierra Nevada. It is 1 pint, 3.2 fluid ounces, 9% ABV, Sierra Nevada, big little thing IPA in a purple can. So I'm thinking Vikings, but that sucks out all my hope. Outside of that, we got the Atomic Torpedo, also from Sierra Nevada, 8.2 ABV, same volume, and it's green. So purple and green. Vikings.
My personal thought, which again, you can take this or leave it. Aside from the garbage can or the sink, and then recycle the cans because we're thinking smart and we're thinking green on this show. I would suggest, due to your Big D nickname, that you would have the Big Little, or whatever it's called, the purple one. That would be my suggestion.
I'm fine with that.
What is your take? Okay, he's fine with it. I thought Howard would have more analysis there, but he just it's out of here.
Because the name on it was the Big One, right?
The Big Little Thing.
IPA. The Big Little Thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go with that one. I'm fine with that. It fits the nickname.
Actually, I didn't even think about that. I looked at the Atomic Torpedo and I was thinking back to my prior days as a munitions troop. But you know what? Yeah. But Torpedo, that's a Navy thing. Forget that. So, so I will crack open the Big Little IPA and it went from trolley to sentimental because I'm not going to drink it out of the can. Howie, you sent this glass to me. I don't remember if I was in Afghanistan or if I had been paroled from that sandbox, but I got this guy right here.
There it is.
Yeah.
We both talked. So now you got to say it. You got to say something again so you can show the glass.
Oh yeah. This guy right there. Like I said, I don't remember where the heck in the world I was, but you sent it to me. It means a lot, and it doesn't get near as much use. So I'm going to fix that right now.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, it's a mug that was embossed. Gave out. Lefty and I gave out to our groomsmen, and Big D was supposed to be a groomsman in my wedding, and shortly before he was deployed. I think it was Afghanistan. I think where.
Yeah.
But we decided because really you had no choice in the matter, that we would make you a glass and send it to you anyway. So that's cool. It's cool to see it being used.
Oh yeah.
That's a good looking logo on that glass, and I will say that. Okay, yes, I created the logo, so okay, bias. I'm sorry, bias, but yeah, we took a moment in time there to toast to you, to your service, and to your safety as well. And I'm glad that it's panned out for at least the past 12 years, and to many more, there, Big D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the I think the only time that I had tears at the wedding was when I tried to give the toast to you, and I don't know if you knew that. That I did
I actually did when I believe it was your mom who mailed it out to me, and she included a note, and there were words in there to that effect. So it was pretty touching.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been there.
We wish he could have been there there as well. It was quite the shindig. There are stories, including my all-time like. Well, I can share this. There was no alcohol at my wedding, not by choice. We lost our security, so because we lost our security, we couldn't actually have alcohol. So. Like all of my groomsmen were packing flasks. The guy who was supposed to be the bartender started making root beer floats because that's what we had for the kids. So I would go back to his table and like, give me another Coke, but only fill it up like 2/3. And I would get that. He'd look at me. I'm like, just do it. And I would then walk up to one of the groomsmen. I'm like, top this off for me. So we had that. But the other like incredibly great moment, and I don't think we will ever live it down, but Mr. Wall, who I think you remember, was at the wedding, and he's not always the best at large social situations, and I don't think he was there with anybody. And as we were doing dinner and such, he came up to me and Lefty, and he's like, hey, do you guys care if I sit up on the back table and make balloon animals for the kids? Go for it. And he was making balloon animals he had a line the whole night. And we kept having people come up to us like, that's so cool. That was so creative for you to have somebody there making balloon animals. We're like, wish we could take credit for it. So, yeah, no, it was a good time. It was a good time. So, Kidder, do you want to go next or should I?
I will let you go next, Howard. I have gone before you too many times on the show, so you take the next one unless Big D wants to talk about the extra text and whatnot that's on his can. I know you touched on the IBUs and the alcohol content, but maybe there's a story on the side or something.
Let's see here. The story is don't drink and drive. There's alcohol in here. That's all I got.
Good choice words.
All right. Well, Kidder, I'm on my second to last of these winter seasonal beers. I am almost done. Almost. Next week. Last one. But tonight, I'm having Shell's Snowstorm Oat Stark Beer. So I will hold it up so that you can see. Out of New Ulm, Minnesota, 6.1% alcohol, 25 IBUs, and of course they put the description sideways, so I get to tilt my head as I read this. As every Midwesterner knows, no two snowstorms are ever alike, and that's what makes this brew so special. This year's Oat Stark Beer is a malt-driven dark lager meant for the coldest of winter nights. The creamy mouthfeel from the oats smooths out some of the toasty notes, amplifying the rich Munich malt tones before a crisp finish. So that's what I have. But you might have noticed that my can is already open, and that's because I too poured mine into a glass. Yeah, that's right. got my official Beer Blues and BS pint glass. So it's made in Voyage. So be good. No real distinct smell to it. Not bad. A bit more bitter than I was expecting, but not bad. Not as malty as the ones I had last week, Kidder. I don't feel like I have to like chew my beer as I drink this. So that's good. But yeah, that's going to be enjoyable. It's nice. It's kind of light. I was thinking that it was going to be a lot darker and heavier, which I was definitely regretting that choice with the whole milk incident from this morning. But I think I'm going to be okay with this one. So overall, if I had to give it a score, I'd say maybe a 3.5 out of 5. So
Definitely thought you were about to say out of 10.
we go out of 5. My dad, when he scores a beer, goes out of 10. Not ever gotten that high on his score sheet. And usually his come with mean and hurtful comments. It's always a good time when he rates a beer. So,
Truthfully,
and it's really bad when he gives you a beer for content.
Yeah. Truthfully, you need to divide his ratings by 0 because that's about the equivalent of the rating that it is. Yes,
Wow.
Try it.
Okay, Kidder, what do you got?
All right. So I am out of the old-fashioned mix at this moment, and so the closest that I could make would be whiskey sour, I believe, but that takes some effort. I'd have to go upstairs and do things, and you know what? We're already in the middle of this show, so no. What I do have to say is a quick shout out at one of the local liquor stores. Got into a conversation this evening with a nice gentleman who may be a new viewer / listener to this show. So welcome to the show and to the Triple B family, as it were. Go by Boucher. Yes, Mr. Boucher. That's what he goes by on the Untapped app. He shared that, where if you gentlemen aren't familiar with the Untapped app or website, you create an account and then you can check off that you've had different beers, and you can even rate them and share information about them. So I know we've had the suggestion on this show, or given to me to do on the show, but it's a lot of work for future Howard, keeping a ranking system, and then we got to create like a scoreboard on the side, and that's too much work. But maybe the Untapped thing would be a more logical thing, and then we have to go back over the past, well, let's just say 50 weeks or so of content that we have and record every I don't know. We might just have to start with year 2 or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But again, I was tipped off to your presence on the show tonight, Big D. So
Yeah.
that's where it brings me that I was at the liquor store and I go, so Big D's going to be on the show. Or he says he's going to be on the show and then just no show. So basically, I purchased in the event that, yes, you would be here in your full digital form. So to get me through this episode, again, you're going to love this.
I hope so, because that intro was kind of hurtful.
Well, I mean, it was hurtful, but it's true. It's true. It's damn true. So to get, oh man, I got so much beer that the damn thing won't close now. It's such a good problem to have. So for the first time since 2008, I'm delving into this world. What world? Number one, the world of shame, the world of regret, the world of hatred, and the world of a 3-day hangover. So the
college.
first time, I mean, it was after college, but basically. So the first one that I had was a juice. And this was right when they came out. And I don't even remember if Howard was there with me at the liquor store. But I saw these and I was like, this is an interesting concept. It's like 38 ounces. Yes, not 32 ounces, like 38 ounces of alcohol. And it's a high alcohol content. It was 99 cents. I'm like, sold. Why not? So I had a juice, drank it. I had to drink 3 beers after I finished that just to get the taste out of my mouth. And then I had a headache for 3 days afterwards. So again, fast forward to this day, 2022. I knew Big D was going to be on the show. And I'm like, what better way to celebrate it than by giving myself a 3-day headache? By going fully patriotic with a Four Loko.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. This flavor, if you will, is the Loco USA. So I don't know if I open this and a bald eagle is going to shoot out the top, or if I drink it and then I'm going to suddenly want to hold a torch like the Statue of Liberty, or if I'm just going to start bleeding red, white, and blue. But this contains alcohol. It is, yes, 14% alcohol per volume. Come on. You can do it, webcam. Well, maybe you can't. I don't. Okay, whatever. You can get the general idea. So this is again premium malt beverage with artificial flavors. So you mean that USA is artificially flavored? Just a question. This here can of American Might is, where did it go? It does 23.5 full ounces or fluid ounces. That would be 1 pint and 7.5 fluid ounces, in case you're keeping track in the home game. There's really no other information on this. No, like, don't drink this if you really don't hate yourself. I don't know. So this one's for you, Big D.
Commemorative can of battery acid. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I should send this to you after I'm done with it.
No, I've had Four Loko. It was a horrible idea every single time.
See, this is my first Four Loko that I've ever had. The other one was Juice, which they still make. But I chose the premium. So I don't know how to explain the smell. Because number one, it doesn't smell like downtown New York City, so that's good. It doesn't smell like Miami Beach. It doesn't smell like Hulk Hogan either. So I'm slightly confused. I get a hint of blue smell. You know, like a blue raspberry like drink, how that would smell. This smells like that, but with a hint of regret. So oh, there it is at the end. It's like lighter fluid with blue raspberry. I am going to get lit off of this Four Loko. Because again, I mentioned I was drinking earlier, and if with this being 23.5 fluid ounces of 14% alcohol per volume. I mean, I've never been one of them there mathematicians, but it says alcohol per serving is 0.7 fluid ounces. So, I mean, it's practically filled with alcohol, like straight amount of like let's put blue raspberry in here to about here, and then fill the rest with moonshine. That should be fine.
Kidder, I have questions. Question 1: how do you know what Hulk Hogan smells like?
I mean, I would just imagine that it's something like tanning lotion and baby oil. I would guess.
Okay. Second
The combination.
thing, how do you know what lighter fluid tastes like?
Big D told me.
All right.
I will say the more sips I have of this, it doesn't get better, but it doesn't get worse. Whereas that juice that I had, it got worse. Like I got a quarter into it and I had to get a beer so then I could have a chaser to drink the damn thing. So I'm not at that point with this yet. Maybe it's because I'm drinking America. For Loco America. I don't know. But this one is for you there, Big D. So a salute to you. And thanks for being on the show. I don't know if he tried to say something or it was just the Four Loko kicking in, and then I am now deaf because it looked like he said something.
I was trying to come up with something smart ass to say, but I got nothing. So I'm just like, yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that I haven't lost my hearing yet.
Well, Kidder, as is tradition, anytime we have a new guest on the show, we always give them a chance to tell us who they are. I mean, you and I know who they are, but for the audience, who the hell are these people that we bring onto the show? How do we know them? And why are they on the show? So at this point, we're going to turn the microphone over to Big D to tell us a bit about himself and how we know him.
Well, the details of how we know each other are lost in the midst of time. We met in college. That's about all I remember. I remember there was one point where I think yeah, that's all I got.
That was a great story. Back to you. I know you and I were in ATSI classes together, learning about the old meteorology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we didn't really cross paths that much for the first, I think, couple of years. I knew Howie long before I knew you. I think Howie, you and I were buddies back all the way in freshman year, but. Kidder, no, I remember now. Kidder, you and I didn't cross paths very much because you, without even knowing me, which this hurt, you assumed I was a pothead. And let's face it, I got the face made for radio. I can see how you might think that, but
it was your long, scraggly hair at the time that you didn't have.
Well, I tried freshman year. I tried to go from my high school graduation to my 20th birthday, which would have been about 18 months without getting a haircut. And it was a horrible idea because it got to be February of 2004. My hair was down to here when it was combed forward. And I'm like, I'm living in North Dakota. It's February and I don't have a hairdryer. This is dumb. So I went and got a haircut because I was just getting fed up with it. But
He said, "Who the hell are you?"
Yeah, I know. Then I'm like, my ears are cold, and which happened, again the other day when got another haircut to get one of the more recognizable haircuts in the profession where they tell us to blend in, and I stepped outside, and yesterday it was not too bad, but being almost 40 degrees and everything, but step outside this morning, and I'm taking little D, my 3-year-old son, up to the Columbia Mall to go see the animals. That's his thing right now up at the pet store. Just go and say hi. And it's like 7 below, wind chills -20, and I have exposed skin effectively right here. I'm like, should have worn a hat. Yeah.
Good thing Shields is in the mall, so you just swing by and pick up some ear warmers.
Mm-hmm. It is now, which I mean, that was one of the adjustments that I had to make, and that one's a minor one. For people who have no idea who I am, when the last time I actually lived in Grand Forks, North Dakota, was probably December of 2007 until this past August. So that's a 14-year-ish difference. Everything south of 32nd, south of the Target and the Walmart, nothing was there. Up and down 42nd, up along the Alaris, nothing was there except the Alaris, the hotel, and a gas station. I rolled back into town, and I'm driving around with my better and smarter half, and little D driving around town as we're getting used to being here again. And I swear she was about ready to break a rib, because every 15 seconds, like, hey, that wasn't here before. Hey, I remember that. Like, shut up. Yeah.
It's true you actually get to see the roads completed and fixed how they're supposed to be, like Columbia being 3-laned most of the way, so you can get somewhere. 32nd being redone, even 42nd being redone a lot and upgraded. Gateway Drive redone, all the new businesses and restaurants on both sides of the river. You're really living in prime time Grand Forks. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, it's been good come back, and seeing the city through I'm in my late 30s now, as opposed to being the 23-year-old dumbass that I was the last time I lived here. This town is, shut up. No, this town is really good. I was really happy for the opportunity to come back. It kind of opened up semi last minute, and I was able to squeak over into the job I'm in now here. It is good to be back. Yeah. My wife is not from the Midwest, though, so she didn't really appreciate until we started moving from North Carolina to come up here, that there were really, in the Midwest, there are 4 seasons: fall, winter, spring, and road repair. She did not believe me until we got here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Minute it looks like it's going to get nice in the next 6 weeks, orange cones pop up, and the orange says slow down. But
You're not wrong.
Awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and officially last hour the feels like temperature for El Forco Grande was -39.
Yeah, my team of forecasters was projecting almost -50 within the next 24 hours as a wind chill. Yeah, that I didn't necessarily miss, but hey, take the good with the bad,
back.
right? I know, right?
You mentioned, how we met. You and I did meet freshman year. It was part of, and you'll remember the name of the group, the Bismarck Cult.
The Bismarck Cult, yeah.
Yeah, the group that grew fairly large and then slowly devoured itself. And I say that, but I still ended up with some good friends out of it. You, Farva, are 2 of the best examples of what I got out of the cult, as I put it. And in fact, to this day, you still are part of one of my favorite drinking or other people being drunk stories ever. This was, I don't know if you remember this. Big
Ironically, talking about going from that into, I don't know if you remember that. You're probably not.
Well, you and I were sober. It was sophomore year. It was, that before school starts, kind of the welcome back weekend, all of the frats are throwing parties and all of that. And we were hanging out outside some of the dorms. I think it was over by like Smith and Gamble. And you and I were chatting, catching up. And these 3 freshmen came by us. And there was the 2 of them, and in the middle was their buddy who was clearly intoxicated, needing both of them to even walk straight. And we were talking, and they walked past us, and you, without even missing a beat, like once they got past us, just turned and pointed at them like, "Hey!" You watched them all slowly turn, and you're like, "You've been drinking?" And they all get this like deer in the headlight look of, No. Damn, I'm thirsty. I was hoping you could tell me where to get a beer. And the 3 of them bolt on us. One of my favorite stories.
I don't remember that, but I wish I did. Because that's awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like something you'd do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah. That is always one of my favorite ones of drunk people on campus. The other one was one that happened with Kidder. Kidder, you'll remember this one because it's one of my all-time favorites. Because as we've said on this show a couple of times, I have this great ability to attract weird people. And so one night, Kidder and I were making our way across campus. We were going to go pick up Kidder's friend Diane. She was going to come over to our place to watch a movie. She didn't like walking across campus at night, so we went to go get her, and we're walking across campus, and these 3 girls come past us. We don't know, and there's this guy like slowly, like he's talking to them, but they're like ignoring him and walking and walking. We get up to him, and he's like, "Man, I don't get what's up with these girls." I'm like, He goes, "What's your name?" I'm like, "I'm Chris." "All right, nice to meet you, Chris." "All right." He's like, I'm gonna go home and go to bed." Kidder and I are like, "You do that. That would be good." And he goes walking off. And Kidder and I look at each other, and we're both do the whole like, "Yeah, he's been drinking." So we get Diane from her dorm, and we're making our way back. And as we're going back, we run into this guy again, going back the other way. And he gets to us and he stops us. And he goes, "Hey, aren't you Chris?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I just want to say thank you for not beating me up." And I just look at him and go, "You're welcome. Don't do it again." "Oh, I won't. He goes walking on. Diane looks at us because, as we've also talked about on this show, I am not a fighter of any means. So, like, Diane's like, "What is up with this?" And Kidder and I both are going, "Well, he's been drinking." So that was my other favorite drunk people on campus story. So, but yeah.
I wish you guys were there for, it would have been welcome weekend for our second year. So, in the beginning weekend there, 2004, and the welcoming committee for campus had a dance at the Hislop for all of the on-campus students. And so a friend of ours from, I guess he lives in Montana now, and I think he's from Montana as well. He and I just walked down there because there was nothing else going on that night. And we walked in because we were both, residence hall members and part of the association for the residence halls. And we kind of look around, and it's half dead, number one. Number two, it looked like there's some drunk people over here and some other weird people over here, and then the people who don't give a shit in the middle. And like nothing happening in between all of them. Well, this is kind of boring. Should we go? Yeah. All right. So we turn around and we leave the Hislop, and we're walking along University. And as you gentlemen know, Memorial Hall is right there, or, the Memorial Union, I should say. And then next to it is the law building, where all the fancy lawyers get their degrees. And then the next building would be the library. So we're coming up on the library, and as the library is a very wide block, just like when Howard and I were walking down University that night, there's a group of females in front of us that are clearly intoxicated and walking away. And then, like, they're all holding each other up. So it's kind of like one of the, when you see the video of the fire ants and they make a raft to stay on top of the water, they're like, and it's, the whole thing's just like moving back and forth. Like, that's what it was like watching in front of us. So we're like, yeah, again, they're clearly drinking thing, because they were close enough where they could hear us, but they're like, whoa, back and forth. Anyway, they're in front of the library on University, and one of the girls goes, I gotta pee! And we look at each other like, okay. And she's like, I gotta really go! And one of the other girls, can you wait? We can walk into the library. I gotta go right now! And so, right away, without even caring, thinking, whatever, she pulls up to the bush right along the sidewalk, pulls down her pants, and does the old squat right over the bush. And all of the 5 other people who were with her try and quickly group around her, looking outward to make sure there's no UND police officers around, and then try and block the view from the unsuspecting people walking by, such as the 2 of us going, oh, okay, we're just gonna keep walking. And she's like, that's fair. Oh, yeah, I've been holding this for such a long time. I'm like, welcome weekend. Welcome to campus indeed. That bush did look a bit dry.
You know, Kidder, joke's on you. She would go on to invent the P-Rock.
I didn't know she lived in my neighborhood. Didn't catch her name.
Yeah. Well, you know, since we're talking college stories, there is
the ones that we could share.
Big D knows exactly where I'm going with this, because I promised this actually last episode. Big D doesn't know that because, yeah, the whole like time travel of this show where
he wouldn't watch it anyway, so it doesn't matter. It could have been the first episode.
Sure.
No, he's seen parts of that.
Yeah. No. So as of right now of recording, the show that comes out next week, which by the time you, the audience, are listening to this, was the show last week. I mentioned the mail truck story, and I said I couldn't tell it until the gentleman from Indiana was on. He's here. We have to tell us. And the reason I can't tell this story without him is because the best part of this story happens with him. So to tell this story, it was 2015 in the fall, and
2005.
2005.
Yes, sorry. The beer.
Here, have another one.
Yeah.
And I was in Korea in 2015. I was like, this is news.
Yeah, 2005 in the fall. Big D, my at the time fiance, now wife Lefty, and I were eating at a Burger King north of campus. And as we were sitting there, I happened to notice there's a gas station right next to it, and it had a line of U.S. mail trucks, postal trucks, sitting there. And at that time, the big thing, here we go. This is going to date all of us. The big thing wasn't Facebook yet. It wasn't TikTok. It was a thing called LiveJournal. If you guys remember that wonderful thing that is now predominantly used by Russians. But we had friends who were like LiveJournal was everything. You wrote everything down there, and they took it very seriously. And so as the three of us dined, we came up with this scheme that it would be interesting to put something fairly absurd into a LiveJournal post and see how many of our friends, the members of the Bismarck cult, actually fell for it. And we would get my roommate to be an accomplice in on this. We came up with the story. Lefty wrote it on her LiveJournal. And you don't want to know how I know it's now predominantly used by Russians? It's because this evening, and Big D, you'll appreciate this, I did a little searching. I found the post.
Oh,
And so
no.
I have the original
Perfect.
post here, and I'm going to read it.
Oh, I hate everything.
Yeah, that's what you get for coming on the show after such a delay.
Yeah.
No, bring it on. It's all good.
It is all good. I read this. I forgot some of the
Except for this
details
drink.
that she had put in here. And for that, I
Put some good ones
apologize.
in it. Yeah.
But this will be this should be good. So here's the post, and I have already gone in and changed the names to nicknames. So yes. So last night, Howard and Big D and I went to Burger King after Big D's voiceover for the movie had been completed because I had not eaten yet. So back in college, I made movies, competed in film fests, and Big D actually did a voiceover for one of the movies. So that's what's being referenced for the audience to catch them up. Oh, and on an interesting side note, while Howard and Howard's roommate went to dinner at Tara's, I was doing homework in their room, which is totally okay. And all I can be in the suite unescorted, just not anywhere else in the building. And the fire alarm went off. So I decided not to risk being caught because it's a pretty hefty fine and went outside. Thankfully, Mr. Foote, the vice president of the hall, was out there and agreed to escort me back to Howard's room just to be on the safe side. So that was exciting, but that was far from the most exciting part of the evening. Okay, so back to Burger King. As we're sitting there eating and reading tidbits to each other, I love those things, useless info that you will never need to know in your life, but fun nonetheless. When Howard
Love
notices,
tidbits.
when Howard notices a row of vehicles at the gas station next door. Oddly enough, there are three mail trucks among the row of cars and a few trucks, maybe a Suburban or two. So it's late, and we're all kind of tired. Little bit bored. I know. It's only the second week of school, and we're already bored. Look out, huh? So we decide it would be sort of fun to drag race in a mail truck. And seeing as there are three of them sitting there waiting to be driven, just calling our names, we decided to borrow them. And yeah, maybe Washington was not the best place to drag race three borrowed mail trucks, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. So we lined them up, and when the light turned green, we took off, tires squealing and the smell of burnt rubber and smoke filling the air. I've not really been one to do anything illegal, but this was just too much fun. And I've been known to bail out of some things that were probably a lot of fun, but also had a high probability of being caught at, because when I do something wrong, I get caught. End of discussion. Needless to say, as Big D pulled into the lead outside of Kmart with Howard beside him and me tailing a little bit behind, the flashing cherries were not a surprise. I'm not quite sure what was going through the officer's mind. All I know is that as he gave each of us a breathalyzer, he was pretty stunned that none of us were trashed, much less we were all 100% sober. So, yeah. You know that saying about not bending over in a shower in prison? Thankfully, I was not there to witness it because I got to shower with some pretty tough ladies. But I'll take the tiny little corner I cowered in into the surprise that Big D was given any day. Needless to say, Howard's roommate was quite surprised to hear his phone ringing at 8 o'clock this morning because none of us were calling our folks on this one. And we figured if we called Big D's wife, she'd be there with a camera to take pictures and laugh at us. So Howard's roommate, thank you from all of us. And yes, we did miss our 9 o'clock classes, but we made it to our 10 o'clocks. The moral of the story here is simple. Don't borrow mail trucks, no matter how much fun they might be to drag race, or at the very least, do not get caught. And yes, if you do get caught, do not bend over in the shower. Yikes. Valuable lesson indeed. So that was the post that she wrote, which I think most people could figure out probably not serious. And we waited to see what the reaction would be. And from our friends, like most of them didn't buy it, but there was at least one particular individual, my roommate's girlfriend at the time, who really did kind of question if we had been arrested. And of course, my roommate, as I said, he's the one accomplice, was like, well, yeah, I had to bail them out. And that was it. That was it. That was the experiment. We looked at it. We thought, boy, that did not get the reaction we were hoping, but oh well, it was all fun. ... And this is where I hand the story over to Big D because we thought it was over, and it wasn't.
Oh, frick. Yeah, I'm gonna have to shut up. I'm gonna have to dive into my other IPA over there. So
That's coming.
Yeah. So yeah, that I forget exactly how many days it was after that, but so you referenced my wife. That was my first wife. I was married at the time to another person, and I believe she was visiting her family in the Twin Cities when all of this went down. And it was a couple of days later. I don't remember if it was the next morning or 2 mornings after, but it was one of those two. And I get a phone call at, must have been 5 in the morning on my cell phone. It was my dad. And, I'm waking up. I'm not coherent of, time or place. And I was like, oh, Dad. Hey, Dad, what's up? He's like, son. I could feel him hating me in just that one word. Like, so, son, what's up, Dad? Is there anything you want to tell me? Like, Dad, what are you talking about, Dad? It's 5 in the morning. Leave me alone. You want? Can't even say it with a straight face. You want to talk to me about mail trucks? And then I quickly realized that somehow, some way, like I never told my parents that I had a live journal. I didn't at the time, which I don't anymore. I think Lefty had tagged me in there, so that's how it showed up on mine. But somehow they saw it and they thought it was real. So I'm like, oh, Dad, no, that was a joke. Yeah. No, that was a joke to screw with some of her friends. That didn't actually happen. And my parents, who never, at up to that point, I had never heard them swear, say an unkind word, nothing. He's like, oh, you asshole. Then he handed the phone to my mom once he had talked her off that particular stressful perception. And she's like, was that really just a mean joke? It's like, yeah, Mom, it didn't happen. You shithead. It's like, yeah, they later said that had it been true, it would have been, a bad time. Because, I mean, as is typical with, late teens, early 20s, I was very fortunate. My parents said, agreed to cover my undergrad. And they were like, that would have been done so fast. if that had been true, and rightly so. But yeah, so I drove by the first time I drove by on when I came back into town. The first time I drove by that Burger King on Gateway, like the hair on the back of my neck stood up because I remember that was the first thing I thought of. Like, oh crap, that was the one. Like, oh, no. Just go to Blue Moose. Yeah.
And this got brought up, Big D, last episode because I mentioned that I mentioned the story because we actually had put out a little just shout out congratulating you on 10 years of marriage because we know you had an anniversary. But I mentioned that I was at that wedding and that it became a very awkward wedding, in part because it quickly got out that I was one of, and my wife who was there, that we were the other two people involved in the mail truck thing. And that quickly got out through that wedding that I was the guy who stole a mail truck or was involved in this mail truck incident. So
yeah, well, considering there were literally 8 people at that wedding on my side, if you will, and 3 of them were groomsmen, like it's going to get out fast.
Yeah. It did. So, I mean, we got a little bit of just desserts in that. I think I also met your parents like one other time. Like, I think we were visiting you down in the cities.
You did. Yeah. I think it was like 2007. Yeah. It was a couple of years later.
Yeah. And it was, we stopped and yeah, you're like, oh, this is my friend Chris. Oh, we never met him. He was one of the mail truck people. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, I was a bad influence apparently on your son. I'm sorry.
The bad influence was one of my cousins with the same last name. But you know he actually lives in Indiana, so the damage he did was quite minimal in the long run. So
yeah, that is still, it's one of my favorite stories because it was just one of those stupid things you do and you think nothing of, and the fact that it blew up that much, yeah, it's still. It was one of those things when I told Lefty that you were going to be on, she immediately goes, "You going to tell the mail truck story?" I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, smart lady.
She is. And I told her, I said, yeah, I even went and found the original post. I was hoping you would. I'm like, yep, I found it. So still exists. But if you do go out and try to find the original post, here's a pro tip. Don't search just for mail truck. Because there's like 7,364 entries on LiveJournal that involve mail trucks.
Oh man.
Yeah, you have to actually put mail truck drag race, and that will that'll get it to you like top pick.
Oh man, there's 7,000 other jokers who had the same thought we did.
Kind of sounds like a lot of people have problems. That's what that sounds like.
A lot of Russian people, apparently. That was also the number of posts that were in Russian. It was, I'm like,
in Soviet Russia, mail trucks steal you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I blame this Four Loko that I'm almost done with. I don't know if I'm feeling the alcohol or just dizzy from whatever's in this.
Well, it must be affecting you because I see that you have been adding topics to the run sheet during this, and apparently you want to talk wrestling.
Well, we might as well. We have our own backyard wrestler here as well, because I don't know if Big D nearly had his neck broken twice doing backyard/basement wrestling like I did, but damn it, he's here, so we might as well talk about it.
It wasn't the ring. It wasn't in a backyard. But one was neck at least once. I don't recall if there was a second time. The only other incident that pops to mind, it might have been my shoulder.
I'm going to say something a bit controversial here, Kidder, but compared to NDWF, they were far more legit than.
Well, listen. I get it. He had a ring, and he said that we could do NDWF in that ring. But everybody else is like, our basement is fine. These mattresses from 20 years ago are fine. That was our budget. So
I bet their ref had a ref shirt.
I mean, yeah, we had one ref shirt. And I think I drew, well, the funny guy wrote the original NDWF logo on the ref shirt, which was almost as good as the Magnum shirt we had for Farva, but the second one had a better drawn NDWF logo on it that I think I drew that one, so it looked somewhat decent. And then I think you had your own. Is that what you said?
No, I never got a ref shirt.
Howard the false ref. That's what he was.
Howard had to buy his own ref shirt.
Yeah.
And yes, that's still down here.
So it's good because he was the most legit ref that NDWF ever had. And he's still bitching about it. Listen to this son of a bitch. Jesus. And he's just sitting there drinking. Okay. Yeah. So 2 separate times. One was in, I think, 1997. And then the second time, it's surprising I remember that. I think the second one was in 2000. I was nearly paralyzed because of Tombstone Pile Driver, where my neck took a 90-degree turn because I slipped and my head/neck hit the ground and, moved. So I'm happy to still be here, although I punish myself with things like that. I don't know. Maybe it is what it is. But what are some crazy backyard, underground, crazy, ridiculous stories that you have there, Big D?
Let's see here. If you're talking about near miss on a neck injury, the one that pops in mind is I was entering, just other people just hanging out, bouncing around. There's this relatively new kid who didn't quite know what he was doing. So mistake number one. I think he and I were we were going at it for a couple of minutes, just kind of bouncing off the rope, Irish whip, body slam, that kind of thing. And he got it in his head that he was going to give me some sort of forward flip move. Okay, cool, no problem. He sets me up for a vertical suplex. He tells me implant DDT. For those who are unfamiliar, he basically, imagine we're facing each other. He's got my head like this in a front face lock. The difference between the two is for an implant DDT, I effectively would have just jumped and kicked my legs out backward and landed flat. And he would have jumped, fallen backwards so that we both would have landed flat. For a vertical suplex, he would have taken my inside arm and draped it over the back of his neck. And then I would have jumped and basically done basically a full flip and landed on my back, 3 feet away from where I was standing, something about that. So he set up one and told me to take the other. Going on instinct, I jumped for the one that he had set me up for. But in doing that, I jumped, way more than I should have, and he brought me straight down doing the move he was calling me to do. Basically turned me into a human exclamation point. A little scary. I was fortunate in that I didn't even have a stinger, but it weirded me out for a couple of minutes, and I was a little irritated at him. So about 5 minutes later, I gave him the hardest power bomb that I could because I was just pissed. Maybe not professional, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It's the same thing that happens in the business, the professional business. You hear from people, even the Undertaker, where they get a very stiff move or something that they don't expect. They pay it back to them. You have it coming. You don't know when, but it's coming. So absolutely, I think you were you were right in talking about that. And do you have any video of any of these instances when you were involved with that?
Somewhere on an old VHS, somewhere in my parents' house, I think there's a tape of 2 matches. Actually, no, there was a third. The last one I ever wrestled in 2006. That is somewhere in my parents' house. I don't know. Buried, lost. Largely nothing is online. I kind of prefer it that way.
Well, it's too bad that you can't provide us some of that exclusive footage, because we could debut it here, and then we would get the #1 podcast in the world for pro wrestling, because the Big D sharing his previous wrestling moves and highlights with the Triple B.
Yeah,
What?
And
Why are you laughing, Howard? Why are you disrespecting our guests like that? What the hell's wrong with you? Come on, Howard. Get with the program. I know you were a ref for NDWF, but good Lord, man. Show some respect for Big D. Come on.
That's not why I'm laughing. I'm laughing
yeah,
at the
right.
whole. I'm laughing at the whole thought of a tagline on that of Beer, Blues, and BS, the exclusive home of the Big D, and that just sounds bad. So
Yeah. Kind of like
that's what I'm laughing at. That went through my head. It cracked me up.
why he's not called Sergeant Sparkles or something better than Big
Yeah.
D. A
You
failed
kissed
bar
the-
transport.
For those who don't know, in the run sheet, there's a whole conversation going on between me and Big D. Earlier today, when we were setting this up, I told him, hey, come up with what you want to be called on the show, since a lot of us use nicknames. And I was giving him options, and one of the options I gave him was Sergeant Sparkles, which I was joking. That's actually the name of Junior's. He's got a giant teddy bear that's glittery and such. And I named it Sergeant Sparkles a long time ago. So I put that in there as a joke, and that led to a conversation because Big D is not at that rank anymore. So, there's a comment about me demoting him and all that. So it's been bouncing back and forth. So I keep teasing him with that name of Sergeant Sparkles.
Look at me. I'm the big man on campus.
How strong was that for, Loco?
Well, it's gone now. So, yeah, there's that. It brings me to my point. It's time for What's on Tap 2. Remember Howard a few episodes ago, and this is more than a few episodes, where I said, you know what? I'm out of water. I should drink some water. Wait, no, I don't need that. I have beer. I have some water this evening, and I want to drink it on the show. Are both of you prepared for this water?
If you bring out a PBR can, I'm going to give you so much crap.
So I do have Bud Select in the fridge, but no. And I have other beers. Again, you can kind of see them. I have other beverages lined up for the future shows. So yes, Big D, you will need to tune into future episodes to see what the hell these are. Because I'm not going to drink these tonight. None of these are getting drank tonight. I might drink some Metallica blackened whiskey because you are on the show. It's a big deal. So there's still a chance. But I need to drink some water because I've had a lot of, whatever this is, right? So I need to have some water. Howard's like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Well, guess what? I'm going to have some water. Yes, it is called Buzz Water. Why is it Buzz Water? Well, because it contains alcohol.
Murder.
Yeah, I saw this. I've heard about it. I'm like, what the hell? All right. So again, it comes in this handy dandy plastic bottle. So then you can sneak it into venues that allow you to bring in water bottles, apparently. It is ultra purified. It has electrolyte. So there's one electrolyte in this bottle. And it is mineral water. 5% alcohol per volume. But you know what? It's gluten-free. It's 16.9 ounces, which is 500 milliliters. It's best served chilled. There's 2 servings per container, which means that, yes, it's 55 times 2 for calories. Oh, no! Oh, no! Okay. Let's see. Product contains alcohol not suitable for children. You sell this at a liquor store, and it has to say that on the back of the bottle. The ingredients. The first ingredient is water. So it's good because I bought a water bottle. The second one, orange wine. Bold move, Cotton. Third is natural and artificial flavors. And then sativa leaf extract. Sodium
or stevia.
Yeah, we'll go with stevia.
That Four Loko impair your ability to read too? Shoot.
You thought I could read before it. I mean, I did graduate from UND. This is what we did all day. Drink alcohol. Clearly. Sodium benzenate and citric acid. Apparently, it is bottled by Buzz Water from Olathe, Kansas, which is right outside of Kansas City, for those of you who didn't know. There's no protein, there's no cholesterol, and there's no fat at all in this bottle of alcoholic water, and no fiber. 25 milligrams of sodium. Outrageous! I demand you fix that. Oh, whatever. This is apparently the watermelon, and they might have been drunk when they spelled this, because as you can see, it's the watermelon. Big D, do you know the airport code for WTR, if there is one?
WTR? KWTR?
Or the closest? Is there a closest?
I can look it up on skyvector.com.
Well, that's a nice plug. I don't know if we can do that on this show. They haven't sponsored us.
Okay, Future Howard, you can just get rid of that. I can look it up on one of my internet toys.
What, Howard? What were you going to ask me? You had a question. You said Kidder. What do you want?
I was just gonna say, can you speed this up? I finished this beer while you were giving that description.
Amazing! I am honored to give you the time to finish a beer. That actually, I should get an award for that, because you know how long it takes you to drink beer? I have bullshitted for that long. I need an award.
No. We don't give out trophies anymore. No more trophies.
Yes, a trophy. Number 1 for bullshitting. I'm the number 1 bullshitter. You can't bullshit a bullshitter.
No, but I can edit something else into your hand.
Listen, I know where you live. And you want this Murderbird mystery served?
You mean solved?
Solved? Served? Is that what I said? Served?
You said served.
You want it served up on a platter to you? I'm going to serve you something. Let me tell you something, brother.
Do you even English?
No, because I had one of these. This is outrageous. Why is this even sold? Come on. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I got an outrageous story for you when you're done smelling and tasting that one.
Well, so if first of all, if you have this, and I'm sure that Happy Harry's with their selection, which is amazing, they probably have this. So you should probably try it just to say that you've tried it. It kind of smells like if you took a hose over your watermelons and rinsed them real well. That's about what this would smell like. What? It's the same thing with the damn seltzers. You want a flavored seltzer? You got static water over here, and then you got like a lemon sitting in the back corner of the room saying, "Look, I'm a lemon seltzer." Come on. No, I'm not this angry because of the Four Loko. You don't know the week I've had. We're going on like 3 weeks of curmudgeony. I blame you, Howard. 4? Okay, I really blame you. Yes, it's you.
All right, so I'm going to ask you to rate this week or the past 3 or 4 weeks on a scale from 1, which is, on a scale from 1 to cherry and an old fashioned. Where are we sitting?
I mean, this week was kind of almost like 3 cherries into my old fashioned, and that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, future Howard. I apologize. He started it. I had to. This water is bizarre. I took a sip before while you were asking that question, and I almost didn't want to answer because of how questionable this beverage is. Because it's like water, and then you get a hint of the flavor, and then like the alcohol, which is like rubbing alcohol. And you're like, how are all 3 of these things mixed into one beverage?
Poorly.
I don't know. Well, I mean, they're in one container, so they did it somehow without even making it look like there's anything in there. Look, there's no particulates, nothing. Ooh, yeah. We got some bitchin' special effects on the show, let me tell you.
Quick, while he's drinking, Big D, I saw you poured yourself a second beverage, so I'll pass it over to you quick to talk about. What was it? The Atomic Torpedo? Was that?
Yes, it was the Atomic Torpedo, also by Sierra Nevada. On the top, family owned, operated, and argued over. So I can appreciate that. And Juicy West Coast Double IPA.
Juicy, huh?
Yeah, 8.2 ABV, and then just more don't drink and drive stuff. PSA.
And how is it? I don't know if I've seen you take a drink of it yet, but just how is it?
Good, nice and hoppy. Tastes like Kidder needs to have some too, but hey, he's having a pretty rough week, so I don't know if he's going to do that.
I'm having a rough. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this thing because this was something that should not have been made. I've never given a negative review on this show. Like out of pity, I've given a 0.5 out of 5. This is at least a 0 divided by 0. That's how negative this thing is. And I know 0 divided by 0 is not negative, but it gives you an error when you try and do it in the calculator. This is an error right here, an error in judgment of like, I'm going to try this on the show because it's good content. This is terrible content. Don't buy this for yourself. Don't buy this for your children. Skip this in the aisle. Although, Big D, you should probably try it.
The new tagline of this show is Beer, Blues, and BS. We got math jokes.
No, I haven't even made the last shirt, so don't make that one. We're going to be dividing by 0 for the amount of time that I have to put into the next shirt on the merch store, which if you would like to purchase the current merch available right now, beerbluesbs.com. Howard's even rocking a shirt tonight from the exclusive Kidder collection on Beer Blues and BS, the merch store. All you need to do is right here on your screen, or if you are listening to this on the audio versions on any of your favorite platforms, check the show notes and click beerbluesbs.com. And then right at the top of the page, or if you're in the mobile version, you click the little hamburger icon, which is the 3 lines in the top corner of your screen. Click merch, and then you go to our merch store. Howard is styling and profiling the Triple B Can I Get My Money Back official Kidder creation shirt, and it looks great. Howie, show off that shirt again. You son of a bitch. Okay, he's showing it right now. Future Howard's going to have to do more work because current Howard's being an asshole. So that just means that future Howard's going to have to put up the screen right here of the graphic on the website. I could share my screen, but you know what? Because current Howard's being an asshole, I'm going to stick it to you. That's it.
Yeah.
He just laughs. Like, whatever. At least I got a laugh out of Big D. I'll take that.
Well, it was a combination of that, and I had pulled up the run sheet to see the reaction to the title that I put into the show, and yeah, Howie, I get the feeling that was your doing.
Well, you know, the fact that my cursor is still sitting there, that might give that one away. Yeah,
that is a good title of this episode, I must say. Although you are wrong in saying that it is a title, it is a titlay. That's a classic throwback to 2003. Come on.
Anyway, moving on the run sheet.
Okay.
I
apparently we're talking wrestling. You tried to what? What are you doing?
Move
the show
I tried
along?
to actually introduce topic 4, and you took it to backyard wrestling. But you actually put down here some spoilers for SmackDown. So spoiler alert.
I haven't watched AEW this week yet for Dynamite, which apparently there were some fantastic matches, including CM Punk and Danhausen tag teaming against FTR. So sounds like a great match. Haven't watched it yet. And then anything that happened on Rampage this evening, haven't seen yet. Haven't had time this week because, again, shitty week. Aside from that, WWE, watch Monday Night Raw. Oh, we're doing a show. So SmackDown, I haven't watched yet. Oh, he did that. He flipped me. Big D just flipped me off.
You made me almost party foul. That's not cool, man.
Hey, I can't help that you're taking a drink while I'm bringing the humor. I'm sorry, man. I just have creative genius 100% of the time. Howard's gonna argue with that up and down, but you know what? You just can't flip off the genius switch. Let me tell you that. So,
I'm pretty sure Big D just did.
No, you can't flip the switch, not flick off the switch. He can flick off all he wants because it's not ending up on the screen. And all I'm going to see what he's doing now, right? And you know what? Just for that, you son of a bitch, I'm giving him a trophy for the most flicked off time off camera that we've had on this show. Yeah, that's what you get, future Howard. And he's cheering now. Should I give him award for that too? You want me to give him award for that too, Howard? Huh? Huh? Huh?
I'm just wondering why you're punishing me when he's the one flipping you off.
Well, he's not flipping me off. He's flipping you off. He's like joining me in the F-uery.
Pretty sure I was flipping you off there, kidder.
Nah, I don't care. I don't care. All right, so SmackDown, haven't watched that either. I'll probably end up fast forwarding through it in about 25 to 30 seconds, depending on how fast I go on level 4 or level 5 on the fast forward module on the DVR. But apparently, SmackDown, as in WWE, recorded another episode for next week's SmackDown, which will apparently air on Fox Sports because, I don't know, there's some excuse that it's not going to be on. I don't know. Maybe they're doing lacrosse on the national broadcast. Whatever. WWE scheduled a match because we need people to watch, damn it. I need people to watch this show even though it's recorded a week in advance. I don't care. Let's make it interesting. So they had a title match for the Intercontinental Championship between Shinsuke Nakamura and what's his name? Oh yeah, Sami Zayn. And apparently Shinsuke Nakamura is now, as of even the playing of this episode, the debut of this episode, your new WWE Intercontinental Champion. The two of you, what say you?
Don't you mean Sami Zayn's the new champion?
That's what I said.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't care. And apparently, Shinsuke Nakamura is now, as of even the playing of this episode, the debut of this episode, your new WWE Intercontinental Champion.
Teacher Howard will decide on that one.
Sami Zayn, Intercontinental Champion, apparently. What say you two? I blame this stupid water. It's like, it's got a hint of watermelon, but it's like moonshine that's really, really watered down. And I say moonshine like rubbing alcohol. Hashtag buzzwater.
I don't really have much to say on this, Gitter. As you know, I'm not really following WWE much these days. Big D, I don't know if you're following. I know you used to follow, but I think you've been on a hiatus longer than I have. So,
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I lived out of country for 10 years, and in a good chunk of that time, I didn't have either a TV or a reliable Raw, SmackDown schedule that I could watch. I think the last time I actually watched it for any lengthy amount of time was about 5 years ago when I was living in England, but I was on a 6-week class in Germany, and I happened to get AFN in my hotel room, the Armed Forces Network, which is the programming itself is just fine. The commercials, however, about this far away from dog turd is really bad.
Sweet.
Yeah. Sweet. So I'd see Raw on a Tuesday afternoon, for example, just with the delay, and then SmackDown, similar story. It was a day delayed. That was when I learned who Finn Balor was, and I was pretty impressed with his work in the ring. And Bray Wyatt, that was when he was at his creepiest. Actually, no, not creepy, because I saw some of the Fiend, pre-Fiend creepy. Yeah, and it was, creepy. I loved every second of it. Played the heel perfectly.
So that's where I think Howard and I are on the same line, where we both, and I don't want to speak for you, Howard, so obviously fill in the blanks here, but I loved Bray Wyatt being the super creepy, like, cult leader, but he's just demented and being crazy on his own, versus the Fiend, where it's a fun time playhouse, and then he's got a mask and he's got red lighting, so he's gonna beat the shit out of you. I hated that. But the here we are. Guess what? I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna eat your soul. Like, that was great to me. I loved that. Howard, your sense on it.
I truthfully have liked kind of everything Bray Wyatt has done. I didn't mind the Fiend gimmick because I thought it was an interesting pairing with the whole Firefly Funhouse and then the Fiend monster. I would agree, didn't need the red light. That was stupid. I don't know if you ever saw that, Big D, but basically in his matches, they just did a whole red light throughout like the entire arena. So
for the
kind of like what they
match.
did with Kane in the early days.
Yeah, imagine Kane's red light, but like entire match.
Oh, that's stupid. They wouldn't be able to see.
Right.
Correct.
No. Here's even more one. The one that was really bad was they had a Hell in a Cell match with him. So not only did they have the red light, but they've also painted the Hell in a Cell red.
If they did one or the other, and by that I mean screw the light, paint the cell red, that could be interesting, but
yeah, no, they did both,
and I could be dead wrong. So.
Yeah, they did both, and it was terrible.
They for all of the Hell in a Cell matches the past 3 years at the pay-per-view, the Hell in a Cell is completely red. So you look at it at a wide camera angle, and the whole thing's like red. Even the LED TVs are like, I don't like this. It can't process. And your eyes looking at it are like, what am I looking at? This is stupid. It's atrocious. And then they add all of the red light, and by what we're talking about with the red lighting, every light in the arena is red. So you have zero contextual lighting of white lights. So it's like if I have the red light behind me over here, but then I turn off every other light, so you just get the back shadows behind me and everything is just red.
Kind of like this. No, this is not anything like that. That's front lighting. And they're cheap LEDs. Let me fix that. There we go.
Except it's worse because it's the pure red like this behind me, but it's also from here, from over there, from around. Howie Blues is sharing some photos. And this is how you at home are watching the entire match. So it's a blur of lines and black and red, trying to discern what you're actually looking at.
Yeah, you need the green and the blue to balance all that nonsense out. Yeah, no, garbage.
The only thing they did okay was on the entrance. And I mean, the entrance was kind of creepy with how it was. So I give them props for that. But they had, again, the front lighting of the spotlights. So like I'm lit right now, you could see Bray Wyatt. This? You want to see the 4 logo? Here it is. Here it is. So you could see Bray Wyatt's figure, but then behind him was everything red. So fine. So you turn the ring lighting like down a little bit, but it's still lit like this, and have everything else red. Wouldn't be so bad. Nope. Screw that. We're turning all the lights off. The only ones that are on are red lights. The entire match, 25 minutes of staring at red lights.
Eventually they stopped that. They also had problems with booking that character. Like he once took, like Seth Rollins' finishing move at that time was the curb stomp, and in one match, the Fiend took like 25 of them, and just kept no selling it. So, yeah. I liked his work. Like the character work was good. The booking on it was terrible, would be how I'd put it. But Big D, I would say if you do decide to get back into watching wrestling, Kidder, I know Kidder has been watching more of AEW. I've watched a little bit of it, and it's a much better product right now than what WWE is putting out.
It's just more interesting. I mean, I can sit through the 2 hours, even watching it live, which, as a side note, Howard, when was the last time that you and I sat and watched Raw or SmackDown live? It's been a long time, right?
Over 5 years.
Right. So I purposely refuse to turn on the channel when Raw or SmackDown are on, as in scheduled to play on TV. I want it to record so I can fast forward through most of it. And we're talking 95% of the show, which is ridiculous, right? Back in, I mean, even when we were in college, right, guys? Like Howard, you'd come over and we'd sit and watch Raw. It was only 2 hours at the time. So 7 to 9, we'd sit and watch Raw and have a good time watching the show. They'd have some moments that were kind of stupid, which is fine. You don't get 100% on every gimmick of every storyline of every day. It's fine. But we would watch it. We talk about it, enjoy it. And I really miss ECW on Wednesday nights. I have to say that. I miss that. But then now, 3 hours of Raw, still isn't working. It's garbage. You're just watering down the product. You're stretching out the product. It's becoming even worse. The storylines, the people, and even the few people you have on the roster. It's terrible. Why do you have 80 writers working on this show with Vince McMahon changing 90% of what goes on television, and it's still stupid? I don't watch it. I like how Big D's laughing. Like, I like how you laugh at it. You know what I mean? Like, he's still that far involved in the show where most of it has to get changed right before it airs. And it's still bad. How do you hire that many people and pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to put out a product that is consistently garbage? In fact, this week, AEW Dynamite had about a 1.1 to 1.2 million viewer rating. I don't know the specific number for Raw, but AEW beat Monday Night Raw this week. Again. And why? Because it's interesting. You let the talent go out and speak and do a promo with whomever they're in a program with. Let them be their character, say something interesting, do something, have a good match, and you move on. I don't know. It's not really rocket science. Stop overanalyzing. Stop trying to force stupid garbage down people's throat and move on. So on a side note to that, Howard, when this episode comes out, it should be time for Elimination Chamber tomorrow, I believe. So we'll have a special episode on the Elimination Chamber, which airs at 11 a.m. Central Time on a Saturday because it is a live premium event.
To talk about a few things, I'm going to take over while Kidder drinks some non-buzz water.
That other stuff was disgusting. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
A couple of things I wanted to talk about. One, I haven't talked about it for a while on the show, but I had mentioned that I had purchased Stardew Valley, the board game. For those who don't know, my wife Lefty and I have been big fans of Stardew Valley, the video game. The board game finally showed up last weekend, and we actually got it played last weekend. And It's fantastic. We played with the in-laws. We actually beat the game, although I will say I think we had a couple of rules wrong, which tends to happen on the first playthrough of it. But if you are a fan of the video game, the board game is great and does a fantastic job of giving you that same experience. It doesn't have everything, but that's in the game, but it's enough, and it feels like you're playing Stardew Valley. We had a blast playing it, so I wanted to share that. I also wanted to share. Peter, we talk about Kickstarters on here all the time. It just seems like not that long ago, I was talking about Bones 5 arriving and doing the inventory on that. It got announced today, Kidder. Bones 6 launches in March.
Already?
Yeah, and that, Kidder, was the number one comment I saw on the announcement post. Was people going, "What do you mean it launches in March? I haven't painted hardly any of Bones 5. How am I supposed to do this?" Because that arrived for me here. I got it, I think it was August. So yeah, we'll see. I will probably be in on it. I don't know how much. We'll see. There'll probably be a Howard's Cave of Wonder when it comes out, focusing on it. So, but hey, for anybody else who has heard me talk about it, it'll be coming. So you have a chance. Kidder, I see you had some hockey scores you wanted to share. So you want to give a hockey update?
Excuse me. Yes, this is Triple B update. I'm sorry I had to cough because some of this is stuck in my gullet. First of all-star game complete last weekend as of this recording. All right. So, again, Lamour twins, awesome. Keep up the great work. Thanks for watching if you actually see this. We love your work, and since I was back in Grand Forks, love watching you play hockey. So let's move on. I believe as well that Mario Lamoureux, the coach of the Bismarck Legacy Sabres, yes, my camera's moving around here, has had a couple wins as well. So good job, Mario. On top of that, the Sioux, the Fighting Sioux, who the Lamoureux used to play for, picked up the victory tonight over Colorado College, 3-2 on the Triple B scoreboard. On top of that, your Colorado Avalanche, with the defending champions, Tampa Bay Lightning. The Avalanche beat in Colorado 3-2. You've been clearing some ice with the nice temperatures lately? You've been shoveling? You've been doing anything to clear the dead birds from your front lawn, driveway, etc.?
No, and I mean I have the ref shirt here, but I'm not going to put it on. But Howard the ref wanted me to share this. He spotted a snow shoveling foul yesterday, Kidder. As he was driving home, he happened to witness a gentleman scooping the snow out of his parking lot, walking to the street, and throwing it into the street as traffic was coming by.
You can't do that!
Mm-hmm. So, to that gentleman out there, if he happens to listen to this show, Howard the ref wants you to know you got a 5-minute major for being a dumbass. So that's I was kind of annoyed to see that. So I thought I would share that, especially, Kidder, since we now have the National Snow Shoveling League. So we have to call these penalties when we see them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you shouldn't be such a dick like that. Shovel the snow in your own freaking yard. And you know why? Because it gives your lawn that moisture that it needs and it deserves. Put it in your own frickin' property.
Well, Kidder,
Not today, not tomorrow, not the next day, not the rest of your life. Nope. You had something to say, Howard.
I was going to say, and on that terrible note, Kidder, we've been talking for quite a while. I think it's time we wrap this up with some cheap plugs.
All right there, Jaco, let's plug away, shall we? So first of all, if you are watching or listening to this, please, if you would, visit our website, beerbluesbs.com. Lots of stuff on there, including the ability to buy us a beer. You can follow us on all of our socials and wherever this video or audio is posted. Lots of great places right there to subscribe to. And we would love for you to subscribe, please, to this video. Just click the subscribe button. And if you would, click the thumbs up button too, because that helps get us in front of, 5 more people. On top of that, we also have a Facebook page. If you didn't know about that, it's facebook.com/beerbluesbs. You can also get to that from our website, beerbluesbs.com. Please visit our Facebook page and become a fan of the show. Like the page, you see all the show updates, which are pretty much once a week. So we're not going to spam your timeline with a bunch of useless information like some of these other places do. No, it's just the top quality, top of the line, triple B content delivered directly to you on your Facebook page. Search Beer, Blues, and BS on Facebook. Please and thank you. So we have a lot of awesome options for you. beerbluesbs.com. You can click buy us a beer, click our socials, click our YouTube. Please, if you would, subscribe to all of the above. And by subscribe, we mean like or just click the subscribe button. You don't have to get the notifications and all that. We would love. Thank you very much for joining us for this edition of Beer, Blues, and BS. Yes, we have all kinds of great stuff available at beerbluesbs.com. Please visit us on the website. Thank you very much. And for Big D, as he likes to call himself, for my brother from another mother, Howard Blues, I am the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Kidder. Thanks for joining us for this edition and every edition of Beer, Blues, and BS. Please join us again on social media and on the YouTubes, if you will. Click the thumbs up, click subscribe, please and thank you. As for now, there's free beer tomorrow. Make sure your glass is at least half full, and damn it, we will catch you on down the dusty Tuscan Highway. Thank you. Take care. We'll see you again on the next episode of Beer, Blues, and BS.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
And there we have an episode.
Cool. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, it tends to be. It tends to be. So, and I'm glad you came on tonight's show before you saw tonight's episode. So it's all good.
Yep.
I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah. I think the title says it all, but yeah, you'll.
So let's see what that title is. 'Cause I actually have no idea what it is. I did subscribe on the YouTubes, so Beer Blues BS. Sorry, not sorry.
Yep.
So that by itself, I would have had no idea. But now that you actually brought that up, and you're hinting at it, I'm mildly afraid.
Yeah, might show up in the
should be.
chapters too. But I would make sure you definitely listen to the beginning.
That's how I that is how I saw your latest jive. I looked at the chapters and said, the gentleman from Indiana.
He can't even say it because he's just laughing so much.
Yeah, but
I saw that headline before, and I saw what it turned into. I'm like, oh, great.
But make sure you catch the very beginning of the episode.
Will do.
Yeah,
It should be good.
because it sets up the thing later. So you kind of, if you're one of those jump around, you got to catch the beginning to get the later part.
Noted.